Hello everybody, Blake Rudis here. Welcome to day 29 of our 30 critique sessions in 30 days. I'd never really thought that we would get to day 29, to be honest with you. I didn't know if I was going to make it. But here we are. We got one more day tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to looking at Jeff Dye's image here as well. We haven't really looked at any interior architecture, so that's going to be exciting. But we do have a twist before that. And before that, I just received a review of F64 Academy Elite. And this came in from a subscriber who had been following me for years on YouTube and then decided to jump in and become an F64 Elite member. And I just wanted to annotate this here. The detail and theory I've found from Blake in a short time of being a member has greatly exceeded my expectations. Very happy F64 Elite member. So what I want you to realize here is that I've run some numbers over here. By the time this series will be over, I'll have 591 videos on my YouTube channel. But I have 3,650 on my Vimeo channel. So that's 83% of the content that I produce is actually for F64 Elite members. Now I get it, quantity doesn't necessarily mean quality, but if you think that what's happening here during these 30 days critiques is quality, then what you're gonna see over on F64 Elite will far surpass your expectations, and I can guarantee that. So as you see here, we got a good review, that's awesome, and our twist comes from, again, Gary Cranston with a Kansas City twister. This one, number 2. Edit must include 2 complex selection masks, think trees or sky selection, including tree openings, created using channels. Bonus, if you describe 5 separate elements in the image as happy, a la Bob Ross, I'll add a $50 contribution to Give Kids Art. Okay, I'll do that. And here's the deal. I know we don't have trees, but here's the crazy part. I think a lot of people think that the most difficult masking you can do is with trees and this, that, and the other. But honestly, sometimes with interior architecture, when you're trying to make a mask just for the embellishments or just for a painting, that can be rather difficult. So we're going to use channels for that. And you're going to see just as much success as you would on, let's say, a tree with sky. Okay, so let's get into our critique. Our critique image comes from F64 Elite member Jeff Dye's, and I really enjoy this image that you have here. And I looked at the title, it referenced the light. So it's very clear to me as a viewer that the light of this is very important to you. And from an interior architecture standpoint, I do like the light and what it's presenting itself onto some of the architecture in the building. But what I really like is the composition here. You know, when you're doing interior architecture, especially like when I do it, like when I go into like churches and cathedrals, I always try to find perfect symmetry and make that architecture just look absolutely the best it possibly can because of what the architect was doing to build it as a piece of art. So I often don't find these awesome angular compositions like we have here. You know, I really appreciate the dynamic angles that are bringing me all throughout this image, and the light is in the right places. So for me, this is more composed for the light and how it's interacting with the architecture than it is about the architecture itself. And I think that that's important because, you know, sometimes it has to, and this is funny because I'm saying this, and then the next vision session that you're going to see on F64 Elite is all about light and architecture from good friend and F64 Elite member Brad Glass. So you're going to see how we really sculpt that out if you become an F64 Elite member in the vision session for next month. But what I see here is my disconnect is, yes, it's about the light and the title even has light in it. But to me, I don't feel like the light is really present here. And you might think that's crazy, but hear me out. We see what the light is allowing us to see, but we aren't seeing the light. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, we'll go into that inside of Photoshop, and we're going to really make sure that this light becomes present, yet doesn't detract from the beautiful composition that you have in this interior architecture. All right, so let's make this light a little bit more of a happy light. All right, there's a happy count. I'll put the happy count up, and that doesn't count. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to make sure that this light kind of spills out into this space. Almost looks like a beam, but I don't want it to look like a beam. If it looks too much like a beam, it will be an angry light instead of a happy light. Happy light's going to be nice and soft and just kind of come in and bring out all of these happy little embellishments everywhere that we're going to see. So in order to do this, I need to make it dark and I need to make it light. So I'm going to make a curve that is going to be a dark curve. So first off, just come in here, grab a curve and make it darker. Now I could do this with levels also, as you guys have seen from yesterday's critique, but I'm going to do it with curves. So I'm going to drop this curve until it gets darker in this image. And that's exactly what I want. I just want that interior darkness in the photo, but I need to make sure that these embellishments, these gold embellishments, don't get too dark in the process, right? Because it's bringing in too much contrast. So before I hop into my channels, I'm going to delete this mask Trust me, it'll just make our life a lot easier, okay? I'm going to delete that mask, go over to my channels, okay? And now I need to find a channel that is going to give me a selection, the best selection for the embellishments in the image here. Because I want those to seem like they're getting just a little bit of that light as the light peers in, like they're catching that light as the light comes in. And that's exactly what we're doing here. It'll be a nice little happy embellishment. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at each channel individually and see which channel gives me the best selection for these gold embellishments. Is it red? Is it green? Is it blue? Is it green? Is it red? If you happen to say red, you would be correct, because we have the best mask right here for those embellishments. So I'm going to press the Control key or Command key on a Mac to select that mask, turn on all of our channels again, go back over here, and then make a mask. If we look at our mask here, the thing that I need to explain here is that these embellishments are in white. And the thing is, I want those to seem like they're catching the light and not have them be in darkness. So I'm going to invert this, Control I. So now those embellishments, you see that there, if we turn this mask on and off, they aren't getting quite that stark contrast there. So I'll call this dark. Okay, so that's for all of our darkness. Okay, so now let's make a happy little light coming in here that will just beam right through this window. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to carve out the path that I want for that light. So I'm going to grab this polygonal lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to grab right here and just click right here and go right along this edge, all the way down here, and then up back to this window, so that that is going to be the window light that we get. I might even go right here and then just trace that window completely, and then double click. So that's going to be our beam of light. So I need to make that beam with a curve. I'm going to add a nice little happy curve here for our happy little light, and I'm just going to increase this until it gets brighter. And I want it to be brighter, okay, like that. Okay, I want it to be bright. And you're like, Blake, everything's blowing out. That's so disturbing. I know, I get it. Trust me. Trust the process, okay? So that looks pretty good there. What I'm going to do is I need this edge to be a little less hard edge. So I'm actually going to grab this and feather the mask. And when I feather that mask, it's going to be less of a hard edge mask. And now we have that light as if it's beaming through the building. And what I like about this now is we can actually see this shadow really well on how that light is actually affecting the interior of the building. Now, again, it's too strong. And because I need to use two masks, let's go ahead and go into our channels here. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to find the best channel that is going to showcase this painting with all of its detail and not be blown out. So is the red channel going to be that? Is there detail here or is it blown out in white? Is there detail here or is it blown out in white? Is there detail here or is it blown out in white? It appears like the blue channel still has detail in that painting. So that's the mask I'm going to want to choose. So I'm going to control click on this, okay? And then I'm going to go over to my mask, and that area I actually want to be black. So I'm going to press Shift F5 and fill with black and press OK, and then press Control D to deselect. And look at how that light now comes through. Oh my gosh, that is a happy light with a happy painting and a happy interior. There's a happy guy editing this, and I certainly hope that there's a happy person on the other side seeing that we can take this light and actually make it feel like it has presence within the building. Now you'll notice that I didn't try to just make this beam of light. You know, sometimes you get these software programs that allow you to add beams. To me, they just look like they've been orchestrated and they don't feel like they actually belong there. So I think that works out really good. What I would possibly do here is go into this mask though, be for the brush tool, and brush away some of these embellishments in black over here, just so they kind of fade into that space, okay? And then on this mask, you could even kind of carve in this light a little bit here so that the eye doesn't exit too much down in that area. And either of these are too strong, you can come in here and lower the opacity a little bit, okay? Or if this one, you want it to be even darker, you can come down here and do that as well. Okay, complete control. Now we've got two incredibly intricate masks here that are saving the day. If it wasn't for those channel masks, we wouldn't have the quality of light that we have here. So that is really good. All right, everyone's happy. All right, look at that. Dang, look at that. Now the light is coming in and saying hi to everything. So beautiful work here. Thank you for sharing this with us, Jeff. Our showcase image comes in again from Jennifer Ferris. Jennifer, I really enjoy this shot that you have of the Eiffel Tower, if you want to say it correctly. Tony definitely would correct me every time we would go there. In Paris, I went there with my buddy Tony, who codes my panels, and I kept calling it the Eiffel Tower, and he'd be like, oh, it's Eiffel, but he was so kind about it. What I like about this is that it's a unique approach to the tower, because looking at the other elements that are within it, a lot of times when we go to Paris to view the tower like this, we just want to go straight to it. We don't really want to see anything else. And then when you get there, you realize just how crowded and flooded it is with people. And it takes that whole feeling of it being just for you. And it's like, yeah, no, this wasn't made for you, buddy. All right. So what I like about this is that you've taken me away from the crowd and you've shown me a scene of this that feels like it's for me. And it feels like it's for me because these statues are looking at me. It's almost like these statues are paving the way for me to enjoy this space. And I say me from the perspective of the viewer. I'm not saying me because I'm narcissistic. What I'm saying is that if you're the viewer, you feel as if you are walking down this path and it's been paved for you and almost lined in gold because of these gold structures that are here and this beautiful, beautiful backdrop that you have. Every part of this composition feels deliberate. Every part of this composition feels like it was made for the viewer. And I think that that is really awesome. I really do. Your tone, your color, your composition, it's all for me. And I feel like it's all for me. And that's not easy to do. So thank you very much for sharing this with us, Jennifer. Awesome shot. Okay, so let's talk about the impact for Give Kids Art. We're on day 29. Yesterday, I received an email from somebody, a very generous email from somebody, telling me that they had directly donated $500 to Give Kids Art. And they wanted that total to be added to our total. So if you go to the page, you'll see something like $59.20 or something like that. But 2 individuals have donated directly to the charity, which brings our total to $6,446 as individuals. You guys are awesome, incredibly generous. I thank you so much. F64 Academy interactions, $1,814. It's not that great, and the reason why is because a lot of my videos are being put into more of a community type of video and aren't getting the outreach that they need. So I'm actually gonna have more on this later. We'll talk more about that later after this is all over. And then the Circle of Dreams Foundation, $5,000, which brings our total to $13,260.50. Wow. Holy cow. That is 884 art kits. Wow. Wow. I did not expect this. I didn't. And we still have 1 day left. And I think we're going to add $50 to that because Gary Cranston, I just totally happied out your challenge there. Look, everybody, I'm incredibly grateful for all of you. This is awesome. We're doing some awesome work here, and children are going to get some art out of it, and we're getting some knowledge out of it, and this is great. Tomorrow's day 30. It's the last one, okay? So give me a good challenge, and if you feel so inclined, you can use the link below to donate to Give Kids Art, or you can interact with the things here on F64 Elite. If you haven't downloaded the self-critique guide, go into the description below and do that. Or you can become an annual member or a monthly member. And yesterday we had 5 annual members, which brought in an extra $100 to Give Kids Art. So if you like what you see here, and you know that tomorrow is going to be the last day, and you're not an F64 Elite member, I'd say that today is probably a good opportunity to become one. Either way, tomorrow's last day. Give me a good twist. Give me a good challenge. Let's bring this in on fire. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much. See you on day 30.